Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos channel. We are continuing with learning Scratch, we are continuing with making Scratch tutorials, learning Scratch blocks, and in this video we are going to try to explain how and when to use Scratch block, which is named Make a Variable. Let's go to Scratch to see that in action. Okay, so make a variable is one of the variables blocks. They are orange, like maybe control is also orange, but variables are maybe darker orange. Anyway, they are not last but one before the last group. So click on it and we can see there are a couple of those. The one we need is the first one. It's actually not a Scratch block which you can click and drag and drop like before. So if you click and try to drag it to your right, it won't work. So it's more a button than a block. And if you click it, you will get a new window where you can define something which is called variable, and you can define the name and where to use it. I will click on cancel before first to because we have to explain before making a variable. We have to explain what is variable and why do you need it. Okay, I need to hide this butterfly, this bat, and even this cat because I want. Then I will click on the stage column on your right, then on backdrop, and then paint, because I want to explain what a variable is, and it's easiest for me to do that by drawing and talking while drawing and explaining it that way. But this backdrop we will use this backdrop only for that purpose, to explain what the variable is and how to use it. Then we will delete it later. Okay, you can think of variable as some kind of box, and why is that so? Box, or maybe some kind of jar, or maybe some kind of drawer where you can put different things. Okay, so why is that so? Okay, this here is box, this here is jar. I am painting with my mouse, and this here is a drawer. I think it's called drawer. Anyway, all of those three objects, I made all of those three, just they have same purpose in terms of they are used to store something in them. So you can put something in jar, like, I don't know, pickles, some fruit, some vegetables, and so on. So after you eat it, there are no more vegetables in it, or you can take it away. Same goes with drawer. You can put some clothing in it, like, I don't know, socks, t-shirts, and so on, and you can also pick those things from it. So you can put in it and take from it. Same goes with box. You can put anything you want in box. And I will delete these two because I need more space. But I have used them just because some of you will remember what variable is in different way. Some of you will either remember easier if they remember jar, some drawer, some box. I will use box mostly in my examples, just when I talk about variables, but you can use. Oh, why is this? Something is messed up. Anyway, I will continue talking no matter what we have on the screen. And in our case, for games or application, variables are very, very important, and they are important because sometimes in games you will need to remember some kind of information. We have seen earlier videos that we can send some information, pass some information from one sprite to another by using messages, but wait, yeah, my internet is slow, probably because torrents or something. Let's see if this will make it a little bit faster. Okay, anyway, we have learned in previous lessons that we can pass information from one sprite to another, from one character to another by using messages blocks and so on. So that was very, very useful, but that's only one part of the solving some kind of problems. For some kind of problems which are more complex or bigger, we have also we have not only to send message and send some kind of information, but we also have to remember some kind of information. We will see that very, very fast in our game, and for different kind of games which you will make in future, I hope. And most common usage is, for example, to remember a score. So for example, if your player makes some kind of collects some kind of points or so on, so his score will change. So for example, it will start from 0, then if he collects some kind of points or so on, it will turn to 10, score will be 10, then 20, then 30, and so on. So the score will be changing, and same goes. I will use type tool now to type score. Okay, cool. So imagine this box is for score. So as I said, if I, for example, collect 10 points plus 10 points, my score will be how much? 10. Oh, this doesn't look like 10. Okay, so if I collect another 10 points, why is this so ugly? I don't know, but that's how it works. But you can see clearly what I'm doing, at least. So now my score is how much? It's not 10 again, because we had 10 in first collection, 10 in second, and so on, so it's 20. If I add 10 more plus 10, it will be how much? 30, and so on. So you can see why we need variables and what are variables. Variables are containers, boxes which will hold some kind of information, and they will store it for us in whole game or as much as long we need that information stored. Other than score, what else can we make a variable? For example, maybe we can make a timer. So your game maybe will need some kind of timer which will count time backwards, like you have 5 minutes to finish the game or so on, or opposite, like if you finish game in 5 minutes you will get 10 points, if you finished it in 10 minutes you will get 3 points, and so on. What else can we measure, and what else can we store, and what do we need to store in our game? Health, like your for example, your character is in some kind of shooter game, a first person shooter, whatever, and you have to know how much health he has in his for for that level. So for example, it starts with 100 health bar, but if he steps on mine, it will take away 30 health. If a bullet hits him, it will take away 10 health, and so on. What else can we add here? We said score, we said health, we said timer. I don't know. Those are those variables which we have just mentioned are mostly all of them were numbers, like right. So health was like 100% or 100 bar. Points were 0, that's also a number, and so on. But you can also store some other kind of information which is not number. And what is that? For example, name of your character should be unique if you have multiplayer game or so on. So name is the text. What else? Class, for example. So if your character is a wizard, it's one class. If it's a knight, then it's another class. If it's a rogue, it's a third class. If it's I don't know, dwarf, fourth class, and so on. So those are again some kind of textual information, and you can store them. So what we have learned here, that we can use that variables are some kind of containers, like boxes, jars, drawers, in which we can put some kind of information and take that information away or share it with some other sprites and objects and characters, and that information can be number, text, or whatever we can use in that programming language. In Scratch, I think it's numbers and text only, but in some other more complex programming languages you can use literally anything. But that's again different topic, and it depends on what you use, but every programming language will explain that for you. I will now delete this and go back to cat, show the cat. What else do we need? Okay, nothing here new. I want to make variable now. Let's try it. Let's now see how that works in action. This will be short, and nothing special will change on the screen, but we had to explain first what variables are and what are and how to use them and when. But in the next few videos we will learn these other blocks which can be drag and dropped here to our sprites, and actually they are changing the variables and using the variables, but for now on we can just define variables. Okay, so let's make some kind of score variables. I can call it score just like that, or I can call it game score. You can choose whatever you want. I will use game score for example right now, and we have two checkboxes for this sprite only and for all sprites. Okay, what this first option means and what this second option means. Let me first one, for all sprites. Game score will be a variable, will be box which we need when in our game. Do we need it just for our cat, or maybe some other sprites will have influence on it? For example, if I have a star which brings me 10 points, maybe that means that star can also put something in my variable. So that means I will probably use this for all sprites, because game score will be same for all sprites. It's not one game score for cat and another for girl, another for boy, another for star, and so on. One game score for all game. So we will use this for all sprites, and this last checkbox says cloud variable stored on a server. That means that when you upload your Scratch game on Scratch site, you can use some kind of you can store that information on Scratch server. If you, for example, make some kind of multiplayer game where you have a couple of players, so for example you want your game to have a high score, so you need some kind of storage for that information. You need that information to be stored somewhere. So if I play if I play your game in Serbia and if I make high score, it will be stored somewhere. The same way, if someone in the United States or I don't know, Brazil or wherever play that game, so he will also be able to play it on some server and store his high score on that server. But we don't need for this game, so I will uncheck it. So I will just call it game score and I will make it for all sprites, and I will click OK. And what happened? We have made game score and that variable showed here. We can drag and drop it here, but I will explain that in some other video. Let's make another variable, and this one will be, for example, health. So let's think about it for a few moments. Cat health. I have named it cat health for a reason, or player health for a reason. I will call it player health. Why? Because that's that kind of variable name is more descriptive than just health, because maybe you will have more players, or maybe you will have health for enemies. Sometimes you will use shorter names for variables. You're not supposed to use very long or complex names, but when you're a beginner, don't worry too much about it. Just name your variables the way which makes most sense to you. Okay, this player health variable will be box, in which I will put health information about cat health, which I will say it's 100 for a start. And let me think about it. Should I use it for all sprite or for this sprite only? Well, I will use it for this sprite only. Because why? Because player health will be box, will be variable which I will use only and only for a player, and that's for this sprite only. I will not use player health for girl sprite, for boy sprite, for star sprite. No, this variable means player health. It's for player only, so that's why I will choose this for this sprite only, and I will click OK. Okay, so game score was a number, player health was a number also. I will make another, maybe just to use some kind of text, maybe item, like which item we have for our player, and I will leave it for all sprites, but I will change that maybe later or make a new one. But this box, this variable will represent the item which my player has. So for example, it can be a gun, it can be a sword, it can be a microphone, which we have made in previous videos and so on. Okay, so that's how you make variables. We said what variables are: boxes, storages, containers for some kind of information. They are very important for not only for Scratch but programming in general, so you will use them a lot. They are basic component of your games, and you can see that we have at the moment we made them, the moment when we made them, they were shown on our screen. So we have on our screen game score, cat player health, item, and so on, but they are all zero and they do nothing. We will see in later videos how to change that, but for this video I think that this is more than enough. Okay, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing to this channel and following me, and Leave some comments, leave what you want to learn next, and I hope I will see you next videos, and that's it for now. Bye for now.